I am now done with microphones. So sorry, everybody.
Testing, testing, testing,
They can
testing.
hear me now, I think.
There
Yes.
you go. Yep, they got
Okay.
her.
I am so very, very sorry. I'm now thrown my microphone across the room.
Oh, no, you didn't. Don't do that. It's not good for it.
Oh, jeez. I just can't believe how hard this becomes. I think I have it all figured out. It works well one time and then it's screwed.
Snowball fight.
Snowball fight.
Snowball
Yep.
fight
Snowball
in
fight.
April. In April.
So
I've been
basically,
keeping everybody entertained. I told everybody that wasn't me that lit a cigarette on air. I don't do that.
oh
Ever.
yes, it must have been me. No.
Yeah.
Anyhow, let's just. I just wanted to chit chat a little bit, see what you guys were up to, make sure that I could get it working since I seem to go through this every single time. And I was trying to get the chat working. It looks as if it is, but I of course I made it too small to see. So
I'll have a look for you.
yeah. So whatever. I'm pretty bummed out that this just kind of goes badly every time. But oh well.
But if you leave it like this, I bet you it doesn't next time.
This is true. This is true. I mean, but I'm like, if everybody can hear me well, then I'm just going to use the webcam for the mic also, because
For
that's
now,
what I'm
sure.
currently doing. So, and um, let me see if I pull this up. See, the other thing I wanted to get working was the chat. It just doesn't work. It's showing it on, like, you can. Oh, wait, what's this? Oh, I just found my chat. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Can you
Sorry.
turn me down
I
in OBS or in here?
Now you're gonna make me go to somewhere else. Are you
Into
serious?
the hangout when you're ready.
All right,
Yep.
I got it.
I'm gonna talk very softly.
Here, Craig, you're turned down now.
There we go. Is that better there, Dave?
Okay.
You're good. You should be running.
All right, and now I can see my chat. This is wonderful. Of course, I can't scroll up to see it. But Lucy, can you hear me now? Unlucky Eddie has drank his last Guinness. Um, I'm here now, Tina's Reef. You're right. It's just the bottom line is I'm trying to do things that are out of my league, but I want this to be so cool for everybody that I want it to go to Facebook because that's where all my people are, and I feel like I'm this big. I'm gonna bring Facebook and YouTube together, but not if I
Mhm.
can't be heard.
It takes a lot of horsepower,
I
It
know it.
does.
literally.
Yeah.
A lot of horsepower.
Literally. Yeah, not making a joke. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm going to be here all week.
Thank you. Yeah. Tip your waitress.
Well, we'll figure it out. Whoops! And I just lost my headphones. Uh, okay, so crap, I can't hear anything now. So Dan's hanging out with us. Hi, Dan. Uh, Dave's Nyquil is kicking in. Is that what I saw? Benadryl. Sorry. Now why can't I
That's
hear?
all right.
Okay, I can still hear
Well,
you.
I wasn't talking. That's why.
I can barely
Yeah.
hear them. I can barely hear them.
You can turn your volume up inside, and I'll work with you on that later. Yeah.
Oh, guess what? Kelly had her volume down. All right, now I'm going to stop talking over you and we can have a conversation. So,
Sounds good.
all right. So I've missed because, in fact, I'll tell any viewer that's watching currently that's put up with my audio troubles that my computer completely crashed last night, and so all day long we've been working on getting it running again. And literally, you're gonna have to pretend like you don't notice that I'm in the same clothing because it's been a long night and day. But I think I've got it working again, and so I'm sorry I wasn't on earlier, but we're here now, so let's go with it. But what I was gonna say is I've missed all the streams from today. So what's been going on, everybody?
Well, first, I
Reefing.
want to say awesome job to Craig. Awesome job to Colby and you, Kelly.
Yeah.
Good job for putting up with all of it and making it come.
No, yes, of
So thank
course.
you.
Hey, I see a bunch of people in the chat. If anybody wants a link, say the word and I can try to post it. But I'm not doing anything incredibly important. I'm literally just practicing. But
Yep.
So, what I mean, like, were there? And thank you, Cruz. I'm sorry. Thank you very much for saying that because I am trying hard to make this work. Um, and I feel honored that Reef Dudes, the Salty Reef, um, Dave's Nano Tanks, of course, Reefer Madness, all Tina's Reef, all of you are here hanging out and supporting and trying to get me going here. So I really appreciate that. Um, and Reefer Madness, has your poop video uh, gone well? Are you still?
We almost had it. We missed it.
Uh,
Remember, I told you I have to catch them at the right time with a fish going by,
right.
but we think we got it. We think we do. We just got to go over the footage.
Gotcha.
So
Okay,
yeah,
really fast. I'm going to go ahead. Oh, Cruz put it in. Cruz, you're the
yep.
man. You're the man. So anybody who wants to join, like I said, this is a true just chilling hangout. We're not doing anything fascinating, but feel free. Anyways, um, okay, carry me, Reefer Madness. That was it. I just wanted to make sure it worked. Your turn.
This is the voice behind the madness. How you doing? There's Dev. How you doing, Dev?
Not too shabby. How are you doing?
Not
Hey.
too bad. We got her halfway working anyway.
Excellent. That's promising.
Yeah, it's a start, and that's just it, right? She's got a little more horsepower behind the computer. She'll be rocking and rolling, but it's good enough for now. It's working. I kind of like what you did with the look too, Kelly.
I tried. Yeah.
It's all about keeping it as basic as possible
Mm-hmm.
for now. And then when you get to a point where you can sort of move this, and by the way, everything you're basically doing when you move to a different computer, it's already there.
Right.
The minute you download Streamlabs, that's a great part about it. So go ahead.
Yep.
I heard something come back.
Hey, Dev. Sorry, Craig.
Yo,
Is there any way that you would be able to email T? Yeah, can you email T,
Tina?
please?
I sure can. Give me a sec, or I'll send her a link.
I cannot again say how much I appreciate all of you guys trying to help me get this going. Thank you, thank you. And Dev, I'm honored that you even jumped in. Thank you so much. What are you up
I've
to?
actually tried to come on a bunch of times, but you're always go online like after I leave the house or something. I'm like,
Gotcha.
Find the
Because you
online.
actually are involved in a part of the hobby that some of us aren't.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, the only person I know besides you with seahorses is DM, Dead Man's Reef, because he got that pipefish.
Well, now I have a reef tank too, so it'll be kind of all of the above. And I actually made this particular stream go into a Facebook Seahorse group, which is stupid, but I just wanted to see if I could go into a group, with the stream.
Why not?
So exactly, and it worked. It's working, I believe.
Are you
And
streaming to the group, or you just put the YouTube thing in the group?
no, it's restreaming to the group. Like
You're like
literally.
more advanced than I am. I've never tried that.
Yeah. What? I'm sorry, Dev. What?
I said you're more advanced than I am. I've never even tried that level.
Well, if I can get them to hear me,
Yeah.
it's a good thing, but
That's what's also taking up a little bit of the bandwidth as well.
It
Is
is.
the restream.
gotcha. And I figured just because of the fact that most of my people are on Facebook that it's kind of bringing them over because whatever. But so Dev, how is the project with the DIY?
The copepods
Yeah.
/ Fido. It's slowly going. It's looking a little light right now. I might have to. I didn't do enough Fido to start it. It should have been 50-50, and I didn't put in enough. So I may have to amp it up with a bit more Fido, then kind of let it go for a bit and see what happens.
Gotcha. Well, it's still an awesome idea. I just am so excited to see if it works because
I think I may have to end up using 2 reactors and feed one just for Fido, one for pods, and pump one to the next. And then I might have to add UV sterilizer or something to pre-sterilize the water.
Mhm.
That's kind of what I think I'm going to have to end up with, but we'll see. I'm trying to make it simple as I can, then work my way up. So,
and that's the best because then if you want more, you can incorporate it, but you can start off with something simple. In fact, I had a quick question. I've been computer-less for at least 24 hours, and so I was going to go and research in your channel, but are there videos that actually will show me how to do the lights around? Because I literally don't know how to use those LED strips. Do you have some videos on that?
I have one where I did a DIY Chaeto reactor, and that one has it.
Okay. I just wondered. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Get that. I'll kind of give you a good idea for it.
Thank you. And I see
Yep.
someone else joined. I'm not sure who it was, but hello. One of the things you guys need to teach me is like I'm looking. The easiest way I
Yeah.
found to do this is to stay in the OBS. That way I can
Yep.
see what I'm doing, but I can't. It's so little. Like
I
Yeah,
go back to
DM.
the edit tab so I can see it full screen.
you do the split screen kind of.
Nope, I just go back to the edit tab, and then it's where you kind of do your layout, and then you can see everything bigger and nicer, easier to see.
Mhm.
Maybe if I turn off studio mode. Oh, look at that. It's bigger. Okay.
Ta-da.
So, all right.
That's my pro tip for the
Yeah,
day.
DM.
Thank you.
Yeah, DM is in here as well.
Hi, DM.
Yep.
How are ya? DM's the one with the pipefish.
How are
right?
you doing?
Yep,
Pipefish.
he's
Nice.
he was yeah, he lives down the street from me.
No
So
kidding.
That's cool.
Awesome.
yep, close by.
I'm a fan of the pipefish. I got a tiny one in the nano. They're awesome.
I'm
Yeah, I love him. He's fatter than fat can be right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm
Can't beat
just
that.
I'm just starting with pipefish. That's why I hesitated to give advice because they're similar but just not the same. They have a little more, they're a little easier to deal with in my opinion. So,
Yeah.
anyways,
Mhm.
Well, it's like a seahorse that got chiropracted.
Yeah, I got chiropracted.
I don't know
Sorry,
anything
that was
about him.
bad.
All I did was
the
put him in there.
the medicine's kicking in. Sorry,
you're
I'm
okay.
very
Chris.
very fuzzy. I'm very fuzzy right now.
And
Well, it's all
DM,
good as long as you don't put mini cruise in the oven. It's all good.
Poor mini cruise.
Yeah, poor
yeah,
mini
say hi to
cruise.
Mini Cruz for me. Tell him I want to talk dinosaurs soon.
Hi.
So, what pipe species
like
are you
reefing?
dealing with, Kelly?
Me?
Fish.
Yep.
I like reefing.
I like reefy.
Aw.
Yum.
To be
All right, that's enough.
to be completely and totally honest, I am not at all trying to be secretive, but I don't want to um, make it sound like I think that these specific species should be sold. So um, I'm gonna pass on that question. Can I do that?
Sure.
Okay.
Here.
All right. Because I am having difficulties myself, and so I certainly wouldn't want anybody to go buy them because I was talking about them. So, anyways,
All right.
sorry.
What about you, Deb? What do you got in your tank?
I have blue stripe pipefish. They're like orange, the blue stripe down the body. They're like 2.5 inches long. They're
Yeah.
one of the smallest species of pipefish.
Cool.
And I just wanted super tiny guys.
I know quite a few people. One of my mentors has blue pipefish in seahorse tanks too, so they must
nice.
be pretty.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Eventually I think I'm gonna do seahorses. I was actually going to do them initially, but I couldn't find any dwarf seahorses in Canada anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I found one. I found them. They only have oh god. What's the common one again, Kelly? Hippo
Erectus? Hippocampus? Erectus?
Hippocampus erectus, that's it.
Okay.
Are those the big ones or the dwarf ones?
Those are
They're the bigger ones.
Okay, yeah, I found the bigger ones. I haven't found the tiny ones.
Dev, I will get you a hookup because I know Dan is watching this and he knows more people than even I do, and so we'll try to find you some because I think you do a great job. What we need really seriously is for more people to get really good with dwarfs and get captive bred dwarfs on the market, and then that would be the shit, so
That'd be cool.
you'd be the guy to do it, I'm sure. So
Well, eventually I'll try it.
yeah.
I'd like to at some point. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah. For sure.
I've been playing with 3D models like all day.
Yeah, you're in the dream phase. Me and Cruz were talking about that's a topic we could talk on for days, is the dream setup stuff.
Yep.
And the planning and the whole part right up to setting up the tank and getting it filled, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh crap, it's done.
Yeah. It's kind of true.
Yeah.
The hard part is trying to fit everything.
Are you guys working on like I'm sorry, I've missed everything lately, but are you working on like a program that lets you set it up online? Is that what you're talking about?
3D modeling software.
Gotcha. Okay.
So trying to make a mock-up of different designs, trying to decide how to lay it out and make it all work.
That's so cool. I think that kind of advanced planning is like, wow.
It goes a long way to helping you just plan everything out.
Especially someone like me, when Cruz first started helping me with my reef tank,
Mhm.
like he said immediately, "Oh my gosh, you've got your baffles wrong. You've got your refugium in the wrong spot. Oh Lord, this is wrong." Oh, so it's
Mhm.
really cool that you guys are setting up ahead of time. Hey Tina, what are you up to?
Not much, just trying to relax after a long day.
You all right?
We had
Jeez, Kelly.
some major storms that came through last night. They think my mom got hit by a tornado, so
Oh, yikes.
it was a really long
Yeah,
night last
yeah.
night because we couldn't get to her. And then today it's been a really long day of cleanup. And there's 5 acres of property, and it's a lot. We got the driveway done.
Yeah.
Got all the
You guys
weeds
were
out of there.
flooded in the back road, in the back of the lot. Flooded.
Yeah, it flooded. Yeah, my twins were trying to get there. It flooded the trailer park next to my mom's property, and the whole neighborhood around my mom's property was all flooded. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
they had a heck of a time getting back in there. So they damn near had to swim.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. What's super crazy is seeing all the trees sitting on top of cars in that neighborhood today.
Yeah, no
Once
kidding.
we get down there,
Oh,
but I got
jeez.
it and I know how to use it. So I got her done today, and I'm sore.
Hence the fear I have.
What, me having a chainsaw?
You having a chainsaw. Yeah, look
Shit,
into my
dude, I'm
eye.
the only one out there taking care of that property. Nobody else can. So
There
I
you go.
gotta have all the tools, right?
You got it. So DM, you asked that question there in the chat. How are the seahorses that you have? Are you asking Kelly? I'm guessing he's asking Kelly.
I'm sorry, I wasn't even looking at the chat. Let's see.
Mm, that's what the moderators are for.
Yep, that's
Oh,
why you
okay.
get people in to catch on to it.
Okay, thank you. Seeing like Lucy asked what pipe species, but we already talked about that. Um, Dave wants dragon pipes. That's what DM has, right?
I guess I could just do it like this, make it easier.
That works. Yep.
How much do you sell your seahorses for?
Oh, I actually haven't sold seahorses at this point except for to a store. So I typically refer people to the bigger breeders. If there's someone local or a friend or something, I just kind of work it out. I don't have a set price, unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Well, they buy multiples from you, so you.
Well, really, I just am a very, very small time breeder. Like I do it more for myself than I do, for anything else. And I sell them
Right on. Yep.
when I have too many seahorses and no more room. So message me on the side, and I'm sure I can, help you out, of course. But
How I know you live in Indiana, but like, how far south or how far away are you from like Chicago? Like hours or?
oh Lord, Cruz, how far am I from Chicago? Do you know?
About I want to say about 3.5 hours,
But
if I'm not mistaken.
I'm actually coming to some Chicago events very soon, so
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to?
Are you close to like Clay City, Indiana, or Terre Haute?
You're not close to Terre Haute. I'm terrible with directions, really bad.
About 4 hours, about 3.5
Yeah.
hours.
Oh,
Yeah, she's gonna be over there at the Midwest Aquatic Convention.
sorry.
Yeah, that's a little
We're
further.
going to
Four or
see
5 hours.
if she would like to talk about the
About 4 or
seahorses
5
and
hours.
the captive breeding,
Nice.
of the seahorses.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm coming over for that, and there's another event too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in November, right? Is that the
Well,
one we're
yeah, I
talking
would like
about?
to.
Yeah, that one's in November 10th through 11th.
Okay, and then
The 10th is the speaking. Yep, the speakers.
gotcha. So I'll be there for that for sure, and
Mm-hmm.
I think there's another one, but I'd have to look it up.
Awesome.
Lots of
Yeah, I
shows
would
coming
like
up.
to start like a small seahorse, not small, but
Yeah,
Well,
one
like
that's
a two
attached
by
to
two
your
by
to your
two
system.
cube or something, or
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
If you
too.
could automate the food, it'd be golden.
I'm sorry. I feel like I keep talking over people. What did you say, Dev? I'm sorry.
Oh, I said once find out a way to like to automate the feeding, it'd be
Mhm.
golden.
It really truly would. I'm actually I write articles, and I'm actually going to be putting an article on my page about seahorse feeding, um, probably when we get off here. And I'm curious for all feedback because I'm trying to talk more to hobbyists than than try to be sciencey. And so it talks about some of the problems that would come with that, just because
Mhm.
whatever. So I'd love to see what you think of it and what you do with it. Absolutely.
Nice. Oh, that'll be cool.
Because an
Yeah,
automated
one of the.
be awesome.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No,
Sorry. Sorry. Sorry.
I'm the one that keeps interrupting. I feel like, but I feel like the automated way would be awesome if we could figure out a way to do it. So, absolutely. Go ahead, Cruz.
Oh, I was going to say the one of the biggest things for the fresh or live food propagation is the hydroids. That's one of the things that's like really hard to how do you say it, keep away from a lot of the macroalgae and stuff like that. If you don't dip it, if you don't inspect it, you just have to be very, very meticulous with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Good
Once you
point.
get that done, then you should be able to keep a population of, the copepods and the amphipods, basically in a corral, that's somewhat protected. And that way you could actually have multiple, live feed stations for the seahorses at that point. That and the miracle mud. I believe that substrate for some reason jump starts the friggin' pod population like no other.
Yeah.
DM, you want to attest to that? Or
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, I didn't have no hold on, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you fine.
yeah,
Yeah, I put 30 pounds of miracle mud in a 40 or 35 gallon bowl front and started it off with dead rock, and there was like I put a little ball of Chato in there, and within I don't know, I want to say from now I think I've had it up for what, about 4.5 months or something.
Mm-hmm.
I have
Mhm.
more life, more pods, more. I found today I have mantis shrimp or not mantis shrimp, but
The
mysis.
mysids. Yep, mysids.
I don't even know where they even came from. I didn't put them in there. So how they got there? Was it an egg? Was it a? But they're in there. They're clear. They're like you could see through them. They're crawling around in there. So
That's cool.
That is cool.
I don't know how why what for, but whatever's in that miracle mud, it's a miracle because I'm actually growing mice and shrimp. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
One of the things
Yeah.
one of the things I just saw in the comments is that it's definitely, this is what I thought would be extremely interesting too, is if I pulled seahorse people from Facebook and then YouTube people who are more DIY and reef and put them together. Not always about the topic of seahorses, but sometimes. And now we're talking about seahorses. And Dan, of course, is in the comments, and he's a breeder, and he's pointing out the fact that automatic feeding doesn't work very often, and how copepods are typically not large enough to sustain the seahorse long term. So this is the kind of stuff that I get uncomfortable saying, "Oh no, that won't work." And a lot of things depend on goals. If you're not trying to breed, that's different than just keeping seahorses. So nobody's wrong, but it's very interesting to pull them all together and see different sides.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's where innovation comes from. Is you have a need, and Dan's raising some really, really good questions. And how much is enough to sustain? You know what I'm saying? How do we keep the production
So
up? One way that we do it for our mandarins and our dragonettes is that we feed the refugium where the copepods are and the amphipods, and we feed that section. We don't feed, and due to population, what we would call population pressures, it actually forces a lot of the copepods into the main display tank, through the sump.
that's what I was just gonna say. If I were to set up a seahorse tank, I don't know. No, I'm just speaking out of my mind right now. I know you guys are Seahorse, Dan, and you. I would set up a 2x2x2 tank. I would set up a refugium underneath, but I would also set it up as like my display refugium is on my 240, and have miracle mud, macroalgae, and that would be my my actual supply to feed my seahorses. But then I would have the
Mhm.
exact same setup as my display refugium. So basically, it would be two refugiums, but one would be like a display for the seahorses. The other one below would be like a
The
breeding
feed,
ground
yeah,
for
for
the
the
actual
copepods.
seahorses.
Yep,
Yep.
A lot of the
absolutely.
Sorry. A lot of the comments
Oh,
are from the seahorse folks are pointing out things that are absolutely correct that, the seahorses need a lot of this life, of copepods and such. But what I'm wondering is, and that's one of the reasons that I like throwing people together, is I'm wondering if there isn't some happy medium. Like one of the biggest problems people have with, or one of the biggest fears people have with buying seahorses is making sure that they can feed them enough. And so I'm just wondering if there wouldn't be some sort of happy medium where an automatic situation that one of you guys came up with was making sure the copepods and different live feeds were continuously automated, put in the tank, but then also you gave them at least 1 to 2 frozen feedings a day or something like that. Where it made it a lot easier,
oh,
but
absolutely.
a
That's a
combo,
great solution, actually.
right?
Actually,
You know where? Yeah,
yeah, go
go
ahead,
ahead.
Bruce. Go ahead. No, oh, okay. So I do mandarins as well, and I also have a scooter.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have to supplement. I want the live miracle mud because I want that explosive population
Mm-hmm.
because that will ensure that those guys have food. And I was reading Lucy's comment, and I remember talking to you at one point, and is it 3,000 a day that you said some of them eat? Some of
Yeah.
them, or okay,
Dwarf
but is it
seahorses, getting up to
okay?
3,000.
But an adult, say hippocampus erectus, that would be like, would that be 300-400 a day? Would that be more that number?
I'm gonna be seriously honest with you. My hippocampus erectus won't even look at pods. They're too small. They're
The amphipods, though, they're a decent
amphipods.
size.
Yeah, no, you're right. There is no wrong, guys. That's kind of my
Mm-hmm.
point. But with my
Yeah.
seahorses that are like as big as my head, they
Hmm.
don't even look at them. They
Yeah.
they'll. But then again,
Right.
I don't have any idea why. I can't tell you why, but they go crazy when my peppermint shrimp have babies. So I don't
Yep.
know, but
Exactly.
Are
Yeah,
you
But I mean,
saying? Are you
oh,
guys
go ahead.
saying that frozen food is not the healthiest way to go for seahorses? Because I'm losing you guys. Because you guys are saying they could eat like 400 myosin shrimp, but you guys are trying to figure out a way to have a self
Self-sustaining.
sustaining
I'm glad that
refugium or what.
I'm
So
really
it's
sorry. I'm really
go
glad.
ahead.
I'm really, really glad that you asked that because no, for anybody watching, I'm not at all saying that using purely live foods is the answer. The problem with dwarf seahorses require live foods. Dwarf seahorses will not eat frozen foods all the time. You'll find a couple, but typically they revert back. Dwarf seahorses are not currently being sold as captive bred. So whatever you feel about that,
They don't know, right?
so they won't eat the frozen. So you have to figure out a way to feed. Like in Dev's case, he's trying to figure out an automatic way of feeding dwarf seahorses all of these live foods because they won't take frozen. If you have the larger species of seahorses, absolutely they have to have some sort of frozen mysis in their diet
okay,
because yeah.
okay.
Sorry.
That's easy.
You
I
got
mean,
to go
for
ahead, Dev.
if you could feed them once a day, like frozen, and the rest of the time they could eat some kind of automated pod thing for all their daily snacks. I think that'd be, in
That's
my
what
mind, a good way to go.
I'm
If
a
you it.
I do not mean to keep interrupting. I'm sorry, but I actually agree. One of the things that I personally am writing about and saying is that the recommended seahorse feedings is anywhere from 2 to 4 of the frozen myces on a daily basis. And everybody's like, oh, I can't pull that off. I work, blah, blah, blah. And so in my article, I write about the fact that, I give 2 to 3 frozen mysis feedings, and then I always have a culture of something, or I order some mysis, live mysis. I order some pods. I order something. I enrich it and then give it to them. And then that lasts a little bit. They pick through it. If you could find a way to automate that, you could probably cut out a whole nother feeding, because variety is more important than anything,
Mhm.
So I think it could work.
Yeah. Potential.
Yeah. And
Yeah. Because you got to look at it from the us Mandarin folk that love mandarins. They eat anywhere from 400 to 500 copes or pods, any pods a day, right?
Right.
They tend to not like ticker pods so much because they get too big, right? So
Right.
you got to kind of watch the size of what you're getting. Yeah, it's interesting because it's very similar but different, and I would imagine trying to train a seahorse like a dwarf seahorse into it would be too stressful, because they probably wouldn't like that enclosed with the food, trying to get them to do a thing. I'm sure that's been tried.
So they don't eat mice because they're too big. What about like cyclopses or canalus or those other types of tiny frozen food?
If you're asking me why dwarfs do, Lucy or Dan in the comments will probably have a better answer. I'm just not really great with dwarfs, but what I know from talking to them multiple times is just that, because of the fact that it's so ingrained in these little guys to eat the live, that nobody has much luck training them on frozen. I've
Okay.
heard of people doing it, but it just doesn't usually last. And dwarf seahorses have a shorter lifespan. They're so much smaller,
What is their lifespan?
Oh gosh, you're killing me. I
It's okay.
believe I'm gonna say it's 1 to 2 years.
Okay.
Dan, Lucy, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm terrible with dwarfs. The bigger guys live a lot longer. I think the dwarfs are 1 to 2 years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it sounds like well, that's not as short as I got a guy here that he rears cuttlefish,
That's cool.
and they last the ones he gets a hold of, and he can speak to it better than I can. And I'm going to have him on again, because the stream we tried was when the computer first messed up that night.
hmm
Go ahead, Dev. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, on the flip side, they always say jellyfish are like 6 months, a year. I've had mine a year and a half, and they're still going strong.
Yeah, no, cuttlefish he's done this before, and they only last about 9 months to a year.
You know what I'm gonna do, guys? I'm sorry. Did I interrupt? Go ahead.
No, you didn't this time.
Oh, sorry, I'm working on it. I was gonna say, just to let you guys know, I've made the decision at this very moment that I'm going to talk Dan and Lucy into hopefully, wink wink, coming on next Wednesday, and we can talk dwarfs. That way, there will be answers and a little more feedback for this kind of thing. So,
Nice.
because I feel bad that I don't know enough. But,
Yeah, it's all good.
That's fine. Listen, my first stream with OBS was a complete catastrophe, so don't even feel bad. It's got a wicked learning curve. It really does. But once you get it, you'll have it. You'll always know that's what's wrong and fix it immediately. So
Imagine if you were able to breed baby dwarf seahorses and get them to eat regular frozen food, or find a way, because it seems like there's not very much information as I'm looking on the computer. As 1 to 3 years, I mean, that's not very long, I mean, and try to go through all those headaches and trying to get them to eat in those 1 to 3 years. It seems like it's going to be more of a challenging hobby for a dwarf seahorse. So, I mean, we all got to start somewhere. I mean, look where we became now with reef tanks. I mean, a lot of these corals we couldn't even keep. So, I mean, there's going to be hurdles to jump over, but I think what we're doing right now is more than what probably other people are even attempting to do.
Absolutely. And please, if you're able, please come back Wednesday, because I can see the comments that Lucy and so on are making on Facebook, and I don't think everybody else can, but either way, Lucy actually has bred dwarf seahorses, And I'm assuming based on the comments that she's probably gotten them to eat frozen. So she'll be a lot better at answering these particular questions.
Oh, I'm going to steal them on you.
No. No.
They're going to be on Reefer Madness. That's what's going to happen there.
No,
Yeah.
this is the Seahorse place. No, I'm just kidding. Of course.
Actually, you know, it's funny. That's what keeps us going in the hobby. Anything new and interesting is always, even if it's I can't keep it, I want to keep it.
Right.
But it's the responsibility of the husbandry that you got to, stick with.
Mm-hmm.
I always have a huge issue with people getting mandarins because they'll go out and get a mandarin. And I had a fella, I'm not going to say names, he's local, and he bought a green spot mandarin, and I'm like, I wouldn't have done that, right? And he's like, why? I said, well, your tank's only, I won't go into it, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I said, the problem's going to be is that if you can't get that mandarin to eat pellets, I said, then you're going to have a lot of trouble. You don't have a lot of live food in there for them.
Right.
Or you're going to have to go to Fredericton and buy copes off the local guy here or order them from, actually it's mostly you have to do it through that guy. Just because being in Canada, it's a little tricky. Can we get algae barn here, Dev? Have you ever tried?
No, I haven't. Well, it depends what you want to culture or grow.
Amphipod, copepod.
Hey, you guys need to go. If you need, I know that Reed Mariculture, Chad Clayton. I absolutely know he can get it to you guys.
Oh
There
yeah,
you
no,
go.
that's what I started a lot of my cultures with was reef nutrition because you
Yeah,
can buy
reef nutrition. Yeah, so I know he can, but here in New Brunswick, we're lucky. We have a guy here, Jack Corey. He has a. If you go to Facebook, guys, it's Strange Reef.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, he's only local. He hasn't really branched out and thought about doing it like international shipments or national yet, but he's had great success. And yes, Lucy, absolutely, you can do it. It just takes patience. And for me, and explain it to people, it was the flow at the bottom of the tank, right? So if the flow was slow enough that it wasn't floating past them really quickly, they tended to like, oh, what's that? Peck. And then it turned into a thing, right? So I had one that ate it very well. This new one, she's not really doing it. You know what I mean? But Scooter Blenny, I've seen him muckle onto a Hikari Marine A. That's a big pellet. And keep pecking at it and feeding off that one pellet.
Wow.
All day. So he did it, right? You know what I mean? But she, no, she wants to be a fussy mandarin. She's not thinning out on me, but I got to go get more pods just to be safe.
Yeah.
So, but that's, anyway, it jumped out of the tank looking for food.
Oh no. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
So, yeah, exactly. And
should
Hunter
have
will try
listened
to
to
finish.
you, right?
Well, no, he should have tried listening as far as feeding the fish, listening to how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want them to not have it. They're a beautiful, come on, a green mandarin is probably the fish that got a lot of people into this hobby.
Right.
You see that fish and you want that. Seahorses. My wife, I don't want her watching your stuff. She'll be like, I told you before. And then it's going to be, well, we should get seahorses. We need dwarf seahorses. And I'm like, no, we don't.
Yeah, dwarfs, I'm telling you, I mean, I completely understand why people want them. And people like the people in this group who will try inventive ways to make keeping dwarfs easier. I'm all on board. But I mean, the larger species are easier to care for currently. And like I said, since I'm not versed in dwarfs, next week, Dan, Lucy, I'm giving you a heads up right now. Next week, I'm hoping that I can have you guys on as guests to answer all dwarf questions. And because Dan, of course, knows way more about seahorses than anybody ever could. And he's great at explaining things so that people understand it. And there's, of course, nothing wrong with other ideas and ways to improve upon them, but I will have them as guests. I'm asking, but telling next week. So, yeah. Anyways.
Highly suggesting.
Highly suggested. You got it. No, it's like it's one of those things like the husbandry in the hobby.
Mm-hmm.
In some ways, for me, because Cruz will back me up. I'm a fish guy. I'm all about the fish.
Right.
Right. I love coral. Don't get me wrong, and I keep that too. But it's fish I really fuss over a lot because it's an immediate reaction. You know when a fish is upset. You know when a fish is not eating. You know what I mean? Like you can tell by their behaviors that something's going on. Like for the life of me, I got why the powder brown was attacking the fox face for whatever reason, and I had to take him out. But why was the starry blenny biting my fox face for other? It's food, right? And somebody's like, "Well, feed them more." I said, "Well, I can't." Right? So I came up with a creative way, and it worked, which was I would put the nori sheet in when I saw him going for the fox face to attack him, right?
Smart.
Right, and then boom, and he went for that, and he realized that if he didn't touch him, so I kind of just got to know what time of day he was going to start. But I find a lot of people, they look at their fish, but they don't look at their fish. They don't understand what the fish is doing.
Absolutely.
Territorial issues, territorial pissings.
Yes. And the thing is, I've talked about this numerous times when I stream and in videos and just, running my mouth, that what we're doing here, where we're sharing information and everybody has ideas, and I try really hard to be, middle ground and whatever. But the bottom line is that when you get people who know what they're doing and they actually have a track record, and like for you talking to your friend about the mandarin, you had experience with the mandarin, your own personal experience to share, and instead of listening, I don't know, I just hate that in the hobby it's so fast paced, and you try to share information, and then everybody jumps in and it gets all messed up. I don't know. I know I'm rambling, but it's just frustrating because so many people do have failures because they listen to the wrong people, I guess, or they try to rush it and they don't pay attention to the fish and they don't actually watch, like seahorses. I'm telling you, I know when something's wrong instantly because I watch them, So I don't know. I'm rambling. I know.
I also feel.
Go ahead, D. Go ahead, D.
I also feel like people want success in all of the hobbies as far as freshwater, saltwater, seahorses, whatever it is with fish tanks, but they do not want to do. They want to do research, but they only want to listen from the beginning, the middle, and the end. They don't want to read in between the lines. You know what I mean?
Dude,
And
nobody even reads my articles. They're too long to read.
right. So then when things go wrong, and then if they go back and actually read the actual right directions,
Yeah.
I'm using directions as the key word, but it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't want to read the fine print. They only want to read the beginning, middle, and end, and then try to have this successful hobby. And you can't do that. You got to crawl before you walk, and you got to walk before you can ride a bike, and you know what I mean? There's steps involved, and if you take it slow and do your homework and do your research, I think people in this hobby would go a lot further and not be as frustrated.
If there's a way to like heart a comment, I'm gonna heart that comment because that's a very good comment. And just to be clear, again, I always try to play the both sides of the fence here. But if it weren't for people experimenting and doing things differently and trying new things, we would get nowhere. But new hobbyists, new seahorse keepers, that kind of thing, really should be listening to people that have the experience and have actual track record of success. Instead of just saying, "Oh, this sounds like the easiest way," or as you said, skimming through the directions and jumping in, or trying to take shortcuts. So
Right.
it's two-fisted, I guess. Whatever.
Like I ran face first into an ick thing. That seems to be the thing I'm into. And somebody had a video up and they said, what are these spots on my fish? And I couldn't see shit. You know what I mean? Like nothing. I couldn't tell that there was anything wrong with any of the fish that were in the shot. And they swam both sides. Like it was a long enough video. And there were people giving advice on what to do. And it's like, well, your fish don't even look sick. So why don't you describe exactly what you're seeing? Because your video isn't showing anything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Has the scar tissue fallen off? Do you have a cleaner wrest and he's cleaned it off, or whatever the case may be? jumping to extremes is another big problem that I bump into, and I'm going to imagine seahorses don't suffer that all that well when you start swinging things around in the tank. It takes time to develop what your tank is doing.
Yeah.
Knee-jerk reactions are a bad idea in the first place. Like, you don't like my saying, it's my rear, but if you're going to throw the holy hand grenade of Antioch, which is a Monty Python reference, into your tank every time something goes wrong to try and fix it, that it's your miracle boom cure, just vary on how that tank is going to go. It's that simple, right? Patience is key. It's exactly what you guys were just saying. If you're patient with your tank and you're patient with your research, you're gonna have a better time with this hobby.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? You're gonna understand more about what's actually going on versus, oh, well, I just dumped this in there and it all works and it's great. And then next week, oh shit, everything died.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I like I just really like that, or I think that people should, I'm gonna not say what I think people should do, because I shouldn't be saying what people should do. But I personally, when I need to find something out, I will look, of course, I'll ask on Facebook, I'll ask here and there. I will go and research actual scientific journals and try to understand those things. And, that kind of thing. I will get as much information as I can, come to what I think the answer is. And then to be completely honest, I call Dan. I say, am I right about this answer? Is this a correct? And with my reef, I call Cruz. Am I right about this answer? Because I try to figure it out on my own to not, constantly need them. With this channel, I'm not an expert. I've never claimed to be, but I plan to bring the experts in, and, I share the things that have worked for me, hoping that people will back that up with other information, so I know I went off on a tangent, sorry. But yes, I agree. Definitely, people that research more and, take advantage of people with experience will do much better. And
No,
sorry.
Nope, no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, Tina, you look bored. What you doing? How's your fish?
They're doing good. I'm just falling asleep over here.
Don't tired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to keep up.
Understandable, Tina. You've had a rough day, man. Going around cleaning up a yard is never fun and easy, especially now when it's a complete and utter chaotic mess, right? So
Yeah, the roof got damaged, the chimney part of it, and the handicap ramp needs to be fixed. So yeah, I'm gonna be busy tomorrow too, and probably for the next few weeks from the looks of things.
Well, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming in and talking. Thank you.
Need a little bit of rest, just a little bit of downtime.
Hey, Reefer Madness, I have to take
Yes.
I have to take a 10-second break, so the floor's yours, okay?
I bet you it's more like 30. You're a girl. So you go right ahead.
I'll be right back.
I'm not going to MacGruber this one. That's not happening. So yeah, no, and I have to agree with Lucy and Dan. Everybody, we all know this one. What I really don't like is when someone comes in and what they're looking for is vindication versus an answer. They've got an idea in their head about what to do, and if you tell them anything other than that idea, then they just move along, right? And that's, if I were ever to say there's a problem with a live stream or a forum, that would be it. And that's the one that frustrates any of us. We've all talked to that person that they have that idea, and that's completely wrong. It's going to damage the fish or whatever the case may be, right? We just know that it's going to cause a problem for what they've explained. So it's one of two things that's either going on. They haven't explained enough about what's going on, or they are wrong and they just don't want to hear what you got to say, and they're going to move on to the next one that's going to agree with them. So, that's life. I've met more people that's like, clean the head on my motor and I do this, and that's not going to work. They're going to blow the motor. They don't care. They just want you to agree with them and go blow their motor, right? And I just tend to try to stay away from that. But yeah,
sounds like trouble.
Yeah, it's trouble. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You know, it's I was talking about a guy today. He put 20 fish into a 75-gallon tank after he seeded it and thought he was going to be successful. And when he told me what fish he had, and there were a couple of bigger fish, you know, I looked at him. That's not going to work. And sure enough, a week later, yeah, he's lost 90% of his fish, right? Because he had huge ammonia spikes. And I said to him, "Were you testing?" He goes, "Yeah, I was testing my magnesium." I'm like, and I said, "Wait a minute. I say testing, you put fish in there. There's no coral." I said, "Did you put coral in there too?" "Yeah." "Are they dead too?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I said, "Did you ever test for ammonia at any given moment?" And no. So right then and there, it's one of those situations where it's like you weren't listening to anybody, you know. And don't tell me you did it because I told you could do it, because I definitely would never have told anybody to dump 20 fish in with you know, especially what he used, sea chem stability, and think that was going to be successful.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Blah, blah,
Heck,
blah,
even
blah.
I know better than that.
Yeah, well, you would hope so, right? You know what I mean? It's just logical. You know, there's a bio load. You know, there's a certain amount of time that things have to build up. And to sit there and think that you're going to put 20 fish in the tank, you can do it. Don't get me wrong. There's ways to do it. But there has to be in your mind also an acceptable loss rate, right? So, Same seems like 10-year-olds have customers to replace it. Yeah. And yeah, some don't listen. Yeah. Some listen, some don't. You got it, Dan. It's, you know, it's getting past that point as the heartbreak as a husbandry guy that bothers me. But you know what? People are going to do that. So, yeah. Yeah. And then there's, you know, what it is.
Now, see, I would love to get a couple of the bigger Rectus seahorses, but I'm too scared that they would die. So
Well, you couldn't
I'll
put them in
stick
your
with.
reef. That's the thing.
No kidding. I'm